morning and welcome to update 5 or 6 of this war. This might be the third day, I've lost track, but we're still very early on in the conflict. I started to take a minor stand in favor of Ukraine. I've yet to put up a heavy presence in favor of Ukraine, but I've made some choices. I've also left some pro-Russian groups that were disgusting and appalling. And I don't want to talk too much about the private side of this, but it does indeed appear like a lot of the alternative people are in fact pro-Russian. They have no qualms about being openly pro-Russian. Their only stance is that West bad, Russia good. So there's this these people. By the way, the internet. And I'm after about 20 years more, in fact, at this point, of dedicated work towards neutrality in trying to get people to stop like breaking you, actually like do their thing and support the good guys and so on and so forth. It does appear like Russia decided to 20 years of good reputation growth, because even Crimea I was willing to sidestep. It was similar to the US invasion of Yugoslavia, for example. But now we're talking about an open land invasion with 100,000 or more forces engaged in land warfare in a situation where the Eastern demand was that this country they're invading not be allowed into NATO or EU. And NATO and EU blatantly saying when this demand was made that they're not going to be admitted for at least 10 years because they're not in the state of economy and social balance to be admitted at that point. So it's not an issue today. We'll talk about it at a later date, and that was about the size of it. So what we're seeing here is not an immediate threat. It was not Ukraine joining NATO tomorrow or invading Russia tomorrow. NATO admission for Ukraine was 10 years or more off. For example, Turkey, which is a much more developed society, has been trying to get into the European Union for like 30 years or something, and they're still not at the point where they would be comfortably admitted in. So we're not talking about an admission today. And some of the Russian claims as to what they want out of this situation are non-starters, like telling Finland and the Baltic states that they need to expel their NATO forces and stuff like that, that Finland cannot join NATO, Sweden cannot join NATO, and NATO forces need to withdraw to Germany from any Eastern country. To me, this is a non-starter. That's not going to happen. And for example, it would be possible to restart the intermediate ballistic range treaties, for example. It would be possible to start discussions on how NATO forces operate east of Germany, for example. stuff like informing each others of military deployment and allowing without comment a similar sized military deployment on their side of the border when another country does a training exercise, for example. But it wasn't enough. The Russians started to go a little nuts about half a year ago, when Putin said that Ukrainians do not have a right to exist as a country, that it's a non existent state, which is pretty much a declaration of war on Ukraine. And the Afghanistan operation had UN backing. They had complete UN permission. The UN voted on the war on terror after the 9/11 strikes and concluded that Afghanistan really was in a position where an invasion of them would be accepted. It would be okay. But Iraq war wasn't. So don't tell me that it's only the East doing illegal invasions. It's both sides. But to be neutral, you need to be, what's the word? Not in the immediate crosshairs of either party. Once one party starts to look at you with terms of invasion, then you need to start looking for help from the other side. You cannot be alone and neutral. That is just being ostracized. But the situation is that I'm thinking strongly of finally giving up my neutrality. I have tried for the longest time to remain neutral in this global situation because neither side looks like they've got their heads on straight. It looks like both sides are essentially insane in this conflict. So I'm looking at it, thinking that it might be time for me to give up my neutrality. Had the Russians been victorious in a day, had it been akin to the police operation in Kazakhstan, for example, it would have been a completely different story. It would have been obvious that the Ukrainian people didn't support their government, and when it was toppled, they'd be like the Iraqis during the second or first Iraq war, which is essentially being overrun without much of a fight. But even with the very high number and quality advantage that the Russians have, the Ukrainians have put up a determined fight, which goes to show that it's not going to be easy. And that hasn't been enough to convince the East to back off. But if you are to assume an Iraq war that is an actual war instead of a walk-in by the US forces, then you would be seeing roughly the similar thing. But the Iraqis never put up much of a resistance because they realized that they'd lose anyway, so they started an immediate guerrilla campaign. But the situation in Ukraine is a little different because if you do let the Russians rule your country, for every act of guerrilla violence, they're going to kill 1,000 Ukrainians. It's not being invaded by the supposed morally good guys. It's being invaded by a person or a country who literally will exterminate you. There's a difference. So I'm thinking of giving up my neutrality, but I need a pretty strong basis to do that. But to show how Finland is thinking about this, here is a popular, you can like put support here for petitions. There's like different petitions here about what people support, like petition to stop to change nuclear law so that countries developing nuclear weapons will not be assisted with by our nuclear industry in terms of normal like nuclear activities. Controlled usage space for drug users. Removal of state media tax, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, those were, even after having been online for quite a while, at low number. This one was started on 21st of 2, which is two days basically before the war started. And in less than a week, in a population of 5 million, it's gathered 35,000 supports. And if you look at it on a daily level, you will see how many petitions they get per day. So once they get 50,000, the parliament is obligated to say something about the topic that they're calling a vote about, but they're not obligated to call a vote about it. And once they do call a vote, they're not obligated to follow the vote's opinion. But thus far, they have followed every vote's general consensus. I think there's like 2 topics that have gotten to a vote that the parliament didn't actually support, I think. And one of them was decriminalization of cannabis. But most of these are minor points, like change this law here that's bothering these businesses here, and they most often go through. So this does not mean that when we get to 50,000, which is the minimum limit for the government to comment on it, that we'll be immediately joining NATO. But for me, signing this means that I will finally be agreeing to joining the West instead of being neutral. I have been neutral and working on neutrality my entire life. I think no big party or big government is ever right, and the small local governments, the neutrals, are most often right. They may not be completely right, but far more so than the central government ever is. So once I do finally sign that, then you can consider me to be in support of the West winning this one. It will be a huge impact on my political stance, but it may need to be done. It depends on how the world community sees this war, but based on the actions of the Russians, they are trying to bring back their empire. They have said so themselves. So it is likely that Finland will be threatened next. There will be a calming of the situation in Ukraine after the war is over, which might be in a few weeks, or it might be in a few months, or it might be in a few years. But once the war is over, the situation will be calmed. And then the Russians will have a choice of either digging in where they are then and foregoing the West, or considering that since they've already decided to forego the West, they might as well take anybody and anything that isn't nailed to the floor. And at that point, they might start to breathe on Finland. So if we are to be safe, then this might be the logical next choice. I think it might be time to give up my neutrality, but time will tell. So keep in mind that this stream will contain videos of violence. So if you are squeamish, then please turn away now. UA map has gone quiet. The Ukrainian military site isn't updating its news at the moment, but it is 4:25 in the middle of the night, and there is this level of heavy fighting in Ukraine. You can see Here is the presidential palace and parliament region, and here is the city zoo. So as you look at this, you can see that we're not talking about a minor fight. The most recent update is that Kazakhstan, I don't like it that it remains playing in the background. Kazakhstan said that they're not joining the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They officially said that they have no desire to join the invasion.
And what will he do what will the troops do when they get to Kyiv? Breaking news. Marco Rubio. Russia's invaders are working their way towards the center of Kyiv. They aren't going to be very happy if when day breaks and they realize they've been cut off and are now trapped by thousands of pissed off Ukrainians. A new video, shots are heard in Nova Kakhovka. Next up.
Он еще летит. Еще летит. Прям перед домами. Прям вот здесь. Я тебе сейчас видео покажу, как выглядишь от жизни. Это просто пиздец.
Nova Kakhovka, is that Kyiv? Oh, that's in Kherson. Okay, that's in Kherson. There's been heavy fighting in Kherson lately.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to cross the Dnieper.
So that would be down here, Kherson, southern Ukraine. Southern Ukraine. Wow. Breaking news. Oh, so this is coming from the Ukrainian military. Russian troops have attacked a Ukrainian army base in Kyiv. The attack was repelled. Reuters citing Ukrainian military. For whatever it's worth, look, I have no idea what happened. So, what can I say? But this is the Ukrainian military claiming that Russian troops have attacked an army base in Kyiv. That's from Idris Ali.
This is like September 1939 all over again. Pudding.
Gray Hughes, our viewer, says maybe Ukrainians blew up their own bridge to keep Russians out and perhaps trap ones already in. I did say before that I didn't know who blew up the bridge, Ukrainians or Russians. I have no idea. So, you know, I don't. The Ukrainians have blown up bridges in other parts of the country the last couple of days. Thank you, Gray Hughes, for writing in. It is 4:31 a.m. How big is this Russian force that's apparently in Kyiv? No idea. No idea. See, this is the Ukrainian armed force claiming they shot down all of these planes today. Today around midnight, we shot down an attack aircraft and a plane. There's been no evidence presented for any of this. And nobody's posted any videos and no evidence. So I don't know if any of this is true. That's the Ukraine Armed Forces. And we have no idea, could there be Russian troops elsewhere in the city? Special forces or something? Who knows? Something's going on. Diogo says sunrise in Kyiv in 2 hours and 16 minutes. So we've been seeing videos and hearing reports about fighting in Kyiv, Western Kyiv. Trey Inks posted about a half hour ago. Kyiv is under attack right now from multiple directions. We showed you this. Explosions, gunfire in Kyiv's areas Shilyavka and Berestayska. That's about 4 miles from the center of town. More than 50 explosions and heavy machine gun fire were reported in Shilyavka and near the city zoo. Actually, I'll say this. For a couple hours ago, for like an hour on the DW stream, we were hearing booms, a lot of booms. Now, I'm not hearing much on the CNN is reporting Russia attacks Kyiv from multiple directions. That's what CNN is reporting. I'm not hearing much on the DW live stream. There's like 4 videos. There were like a bunch of videos coming out, and then no more came out. The same 4 videos. I'll show you some of the videos again. But there were a bunch of videos coming out from Kyiv, and they basically stopped. Here's this one from Live UA Map and Ilya Ponomarenko. Extremely hard combat near the Kyiv Zoo. just heard what sounded like loud gunfire on the DW stream. I just heard it right now on the DW stream, like 4 or 5 shots, very loud on the DW stream. I am hearing gunfire. I'm hearing gunfire on the DW stream. That stream is, it's Independence. Independence Square, I think, in Kyiv. That's right on the water there. That's like central Kyiv, I believe. Heavy gunfire right there. Heavy gunfire on the Independence Square. Heavy gunfire now. Heavy gunfire now on the Independence Square live stream on DW. Breaking news. Breaking news. Very heavy gunfire. It died down. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'm just posting this. Just heard heavy gunfire for several minutes. Oh, that's Maidan. I'm sorry. That is the Maidan Square. That's it. Maidan Square. That's what we're looking at, right? Oh, yeah, I'm hearing it now. Hearing it now. Heavy gunfire. Breaking news. Very heavy gunfire. Wow, this is awful. I'm hearing very heavy gunfire on the Maidan Square live stream. Unbelievable. 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 This is Maidan Square. The live stream on Maidan Square, I'm hearing gunfire, lots of gunfire. DW. Non-stop. Unbelievable. All over the place. All over the place. Gunfire everywhere. Gunfire everywhere. All right, let me check for updates, but this is unbelievable. It is really intense fighting. Breaking news. We are hearing, if you go to DW Live on YouTube, there is a live stream from Independence Square, Maidan Square, Kyiv, Ukraine, and we are hearing very intense gunfire, very intense, for several minutes. DW Live on YouTube. No one's even commenting on it yet, but it's unquestionable.
Yeah, they've been in the city for half a day. It's gonna change once day rolls around. Neither side is really prepared for, let's say, street combat during the night, but the Russians might be slightly better prepared.
Mikhail D, who I follow, says, so crazy to hear gunfire all the way to Maidan Square. Who knew Maidan would hear gunfire once again 8 years after the revolution, this time from an invading force? Maidan Square is central Kyiv. It's right on the river. So I don't know if they're in Maidan Square, but we heard about 5 straight minutes.
Doesn't seem like they're in Maidan Square.
Multiple guns.
And the fighting is still
I don't
a
know if it
little
was
bit off, I
automatic or
think.
what it was, but intense.
You'd
There
see
it is,
it in this
Independence
city.
Square. You could hear it from there. About 4 miles earlier, about an hour ago or so, there was a bunch of fighting about 4 miles west of there, roughly near the Kyiv Zoo or west of the Kyiv Zoo. Yeah, so there's the Kyiv Zoo, and then there's a station over here. The metro station here, this metro station, local Ukrainian media said a bridge was blown up, and that Russian troops were making their way east. But now, for the first time, we really started hearing this close. We heard a lot of gunfire sounding really close on the Maidan Square live stream about 5-10 minutes ago, and that's right there. So what else is happening? I mean, look, for all we know, if we had live cams elsewhere, we'd be hearing this elsewhere. We're just restricted to this one live cam.
The internet coverage of this is still pretty low. Would have expected like 100 different live cameras from all angles inside the city. Because, I'm still a little surprised how low the coverage is. There's like 10 good quality live cameras, and that's about it.
And I'd be careful of this report. AFP says Ukraine repulsed Russian attack on main Kyiv Avenue. I don't know if they have. Hold on. Hang on. And I haven't even seen an update. Like, to me, the biggest breaking news and the biggest update I can give you is what we're hearing on what we just heard on the live stream. I don't care if the Ukrainian government is saying we repulsed an attack. All I know is that about 10 minutes ago, we heard like 5 straight minutes of very heavy gunfire on that live stream and that, I don't know where it was exactly, but that live stream is right there in Independence Square. So something is very, very much going on, very, very concerning. Big thank you to all of our moderators. Big thank you to all of our moderators who are with us tonight. But this is really concerning. And I'm looking for updates, but I have nothing more updated for you than what we heard on the live stream about 10 minutes ago.
So you aim up is down.
Someone said a camera was just killed. A camera went off the air. Yeah, I'll keep looking. I've been looking at different outlets here. Guys, this I think is an old story. This is an old story, I think. People are looking at this like it's new. Washington Post posted an article hours ago about this. I don't think this is a new story about. It's now. I don't think they're saying that the U.S. just called them up right now and offered. There was a story about this hours ago. We read it on the air. They said earlier, I think it said like weeks or months ago or something, they had offered him that. That's not a new story. More military cars on the whack milk stream, someone said. No.
Sorry, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, right? Maybe you want to be wearing a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
Or just like a Speedo and nothing else because, no, they're not going to know. If they see a guy who looks like a weirdo, you know.
Okay, so in that area of the world, running around in a Speedo, nothing else in the winter, it's pretty normal. I'm sure.
Yes, in the East.
Well, here's I'm obviously kidding.
Nice
but
try,
Yeah.
Speedo.
The issue is, if you're a regular person in plain clothes wearing a jacket, they're going to kill you.
You need like a Hawaiian
Because
shirt.
you could be somebody who's armed, you could be part of the conflict, and they don't know, and no one wants to take the chance. If they don't know you and you're not from their neighborhood,
Oh, yeah.
don't expect to get don't expect to be able to walk
You
through
can't
there.
speak the language either. I mean, that's a huge.
I was in Maidan during the protests, the 2013 and in 2014, and eventually got to the point where they built these massive barricades around Independence Square, whatever they call it, and I was walking around with my British producers from Vice. We walked out. When we came to walk back in, we got surrounded by like 15 Ukrainian guys who were yelling at us in Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And the only thing I had to do was say like, American, speak English.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then someone came in and started speaking Ukrainian and backed them off. And they were like American journalists. And they were like, please, please, please come in.
Yeah.
But the guys with me, I'm like, they're British. They're not American. but it was cool. And we actually got to talk to a former Soviet general. That was super cool. But when you go into an area, you don't speak the language, and they're all yelling at you. Like, man, I was in Turkey. We went to this neighborhood. They call it like the last anarchist neighborhood of Istanbul. We tried. There was a street where the anarchists were throwing Molotovs at cops, and cops were firing less lethals. So we went around and went on a side street to try and go in. And we've got me and a guy with a camera and another producer. When all of a sudden a whole bunch of Turkish dudes run up to us holding Molotovs, screaming at us in Turkish, and one guy holds a Molotov cocktail right up the side of my face. And my response, put my hands up, I said nothing, and I just nodded, and I slowly turned and started to walk away. The guys I were with were like kind of more excited, and I was just like, let me. I was like, as we walked, I was like, guys, don't try and speak English in an excited way to somebody who doesn't speak English or is not speaking English to you, because the only thing they hear is you going back at them, and they might think you're aggressive. So just, put your hands up, nod, and then just walk in the direction they point. But I would just say, man, Vice sent me on some. Vice had sent me out a couple times into conflict with producers who had no conflict experience. And I just want to say, it is
Exciting.
maybe the most stressful thing I've ever experienced is knowing that I'm responsible for the life of someone.
Yeah.
Because
That doesn't know what they're doing.
and that's putting me in danger.
Yeah.
Man. But Vice is also, to their credit, sent me out with people with way more experience than I have. And one of the most heartwarming moments was when I was in Ferguson and the first gunshots went out, and I'm already on the ground, and I look to my right, my producer's already on the ground as well.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who had been trained in firearms, been to war, because Vice has some good people, they really do. And I was just like, yeah. I looked to my left, and there was a guy from ABC News standing up, looking around, and he goes, "Those fireworks?" And I'm just like, oh man, felt bad for the guy.
You ain't gonna make it.
You know what I say to them? Do you see anyone holding fireworks?
Yeah.
I was
No.
thinking fireworks.
Do you see anyone holding guns?
Celebrating.
Make an assumption.
Yeah. That's what we call deductive reasoning.
It's crazy though. Like, I've been on the ground with people where the gunshots ring out and they stand there like it's just fireworks.
Yeah.
Where do you think you are?
You know what's kind of an aside of that? It's because a lot of people, again, one of the benefits of especially growing up in the United States is most people, not everyone, most people have grown up in an environment where they really haven't had to experience any sort of conflict or deprivation on fire. And so it's this idea of like, well, that can't be that. Like, no, it actually can't be.
That's the craziest thing too. As much as America is this gun country, people, urban liberals, have not heard a gun go off. They've heard movies where it's like bang, bang,
Or silenced.
and then you hear a 22, and somebody who's never heard a gun would be like, "Is that a firecracker going off?"
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that will kill you.
Yeah.
Man, who was it who said you can conquer a nation with Bannon? You can conquer a nation with 1,022, right? Like Ruger 1022s.
Interesting.
Was it Bannon? Maybe it wasn't.
Oh,
We
probably.
were talking to someone who's like, 1,000 Ruger 1022s can take over a small country. I'm like, it's a weapon.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab some more super chats. V Rise says the ghost of Kiev has been proven to be fake, yet many leftist communities online acknowledge and blatantly say they don't care that it's fake. They are still going to believe it. Thoughts? I have not seen any evidence saying it's fake. I'm not saying I've seen any evidence say it's real, to be completely honest. They're like, this is the ghost of Kiev, and I'm like, that's just a picture of a fighter jet. It's one picture.
Yeah.
Like, how is it evidence of any of this being true?
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like manipulation.
as far as I can tell, it's not been proven or disproven to me.
Thinking about like what's his name from World War II, the British guy. I don't know why I'm blanking on that.
Yeah, that does not narrow it down.
The British Prime
Not
Minister.
Winston Churchill.
Yeah, Churchill was,
Yeah.
was
Oh,
like
there you go.
it was all about morale, more like mentality, propaganda, and keeping people sane, like giving them motivation. He had no idea if they were going to win or lose, but he would tell them they were going to win.
Yeah.
And
Here's
night.
Here's a good one from Damian Simmons. In Revelations, the dragon gives power to the beast. The tail of the dragon will rain down on 3/4 of the world. Could China be the dragon and the beast be Russia?
Maybe. Interesting.
The dragon is humble. I'll say
I
that.
don't know. What do they call China? Russia, the dragon bear?
Yeah.
The dragon bear.
That's what we call.
Brick Muppet says at least one letter of marque was issued in the Civil War. They are now banned by international treaty, Paris Declaration. U.S. never signed that treaty.
Okay, I was thinking of this earlier. If the hackers
I
are
didn't
the modern
realize- I
day,
didn't realize the Civil War, but that's a good. Yeah, I thought it was Madison was the last one.
if the hackers are the modern day pirates being hired with letters of marque, then what about the people that are controlling the algorithms at the top of the companies that are being paid to change the algorithms? Are they also pirates? Are they being hired? Like CCP is controlling TikTok, and in China, this is what I've learned in the last week or so, the algorithm is showing like science, technology, and
It's just media.
they're showing media to the people.
No. The analogy here is just that's the media. In the United States, the media was completely on board with the war effort, and the government would go to them and be like, "Don't report these things." They'd be like, "You got to."
So should we consider them pirates, like for hire?
No.
If they're doing what they're told.
I assume we were talking about aggressive action toward, like, I mean, there's a long time relationship between governments and media where they'll essentially say, restrict certain information, or they'll classify it a certain way so they can't report it, or they'll just voluntarily self-censor. But letters of marque, that's more, it's like, I'm going to take this hacker and I want this organization tracked, and the way you're going to do it is, and again, I want you to hack all their bank accounts, and if you hack their bank accounts, you can keep some, or whatever.
Or not even that. Be like, here are the targets we want hit, and we won't come after you for hitting them.
Yeah.
What about, like, we want you to show this algorithm here and this algorithm here?
But you're talking about massive corporations that work with government. That's not the same thing. So
Think of a mark as almost like a bounce.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So if the U.S. government has a bunch of corporations that produce weapons for it, that's just the Crown's Bowyer or whatever.
Probably the most famous, like, privateer in history, Sir Francis Drake.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that a corporation won't become go after one of the bounties. I wonder if that'll start happening. That governments will pay corporations to take mark.
They don't need to. You have like a group of 3 dudes hanging out in an apartment in Moscow, and the government is just like, "Oh, won't someone rid me of this priest?" Wink, wink, and they go, "You got it, boss." And then they do it, and then Russia is, "Oh, those pesky hackers! Why would they do this? Can't get mad at us. We'll arrest them and find out who did it." And then they don't. Of course they won't. Yep. They want to be able to disavow and say we had nothing to do with it. You can't. Don't look at us.
Well, there's overt and covert letters of marque.
Yeah.
You've heard about it. Yep. What about it?
Just like, what was that military company that we had hired guns in for a long time? Yeah, Blackwater. Change the name.
Well, that wasn't a letter of marque. Now you're just hiring a company to provide a certain degree of certain set of services that they're permitted to do. Most of those, like security services for like bases or dignitaries or things like that.
So like that would be more mercenary, just mercenary work.
Well, it's interesting because mercenary has like an actual definition, and then it also has kind of like a colloquial understanding, or like a popular understanding of it. So there was like a lot of what we think of when we think of mercenaries is like literally like the Swiss Guards or something like that, where you have an element of soldiers or troops that will essentially fight for the highest bidder or whatnot. Then you have people that are paid to provide military services. But it's not as if they're just going to the higher bid. It's not like you just go to whoever. It's not like one day we're working with the U.S. government, the next day the cartels. Who knows, right? So I think there's some distinction between the two, if that makes sense.
All right. Chris Scanapieko says, supposedly the former UK President Petro Poroshenko confirmed the ghost of Kiev is real, but he has a pretty good reason to push the lie if it is a lie. It's propaganda.
What's the story of the ghost of Kiev?
It's an ace fighter pilot. Took out 6 Russian fighter jets in dogfights over Kiev. The videos show there's dogfights happening over Kiev. Yeah. And I've just not seen any evidence that this is a single pilot who got 6 fighter jets. But a cool story.
Oh yeah.
But
it's a little bit like I have confirmed the story that I am awesome.
Yeah,
right.
It's like the Red Baron, but he actually had like locked down 100 kills or something.
They need these stories.
Yeah.
But you know what? It just goes to show that the hero's journey, the story of strength and masculinity, resonates with people.
Yeah.
They're making modern day heroes. I'm all for it, man. I mean, the Ghost of Kiev is a cool story. If this is someone.
I guess, right? I haven't heard that it's out. Power is still working. I see lights on the live shot. But this is very, very bad.
Love to show these clips, but they're copyrighted by Battlestar
For people
Galactica.
watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, in 51 minutes on Facebook, we're going to hit 8 hours. So in 51 minutes on Facebook, the broadcast will stop. When it stops, I will just start it again. So again, if you're watching on Facebook, in 51 minutes, the broadcast will stop, and then I'll start a new one. There's an 8-hour limit on Facebook. Just heard another explosion on the Kyiv live stream.
Yeah, I'm hearing gunfight in the Kiev live stream.
So again, the big headline about an hour or two ago, there was a bunch of fighting in Kyiv. Gunfire, heavy gunfire on the live stream, on the Kyiv live stream right now. Heavy gunfire, very heavy gunfire. Very heavy gunfire right now. Made up Maidan Square live stream. Right this second. It's still going. More gunfire. Wow. Very heavy, still going on. And just guys, look at this. To tell you how long this is going to be going on for. The first tweet I did about the gunfire when we started hearing was 23 minutes ago. So this has been off and on now for about a half an hour. We've been hearing the gunfire. That sounds close. That sounds close. I'm hearing more right now. This is the central part of Kyiv. This is not the distant booming. Very close gunfire right now. I posted the link on my Twitter, @Luckner, DW Live. Look up DW Live on YouTube. DW Live on YouTube, you'll see it. Link is on my Twitter, @Luckner on Twitter. I posted it. You got to turn the volume up. But something is very much going on. Again, a couple hours ago, there was a lot of fighting. A couple hours ago, we heard booms for like an hour in the distance, and then we started hearing about fighting and seeing some videos of fighting about 4 miles away in western Kyiv, and now gunfire ongoing, audible in central Kyiv on the Independence Square live stream. It's still going on. Oh my gosh, very intense, very intense. Oh my gosh. Wow. Very intense. Very intense. Very intense. Very intense. There is something going on. Wow. It's louder now. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Fox News posted this. This is Trey Yingst from Fox posted this a little while ago, like a half hour ago. Ukrainian capital under attack from multiple directions by advancing Russian forces. It is louder. It's louder and closer. I have not seen any reports from any of the Ukrainian reporters or outlets that updates anything on this. Again, the heavy gunfire continues on this live stream in central Kyiv, Maidan Square. The iconic location of Kyiv, Maidan Square. We are hearing close gunfire, intense there, on and off. It's been going on for over half an hour now. Some of it very, very intense. And I have no update for you. The government, the armed forces, has said like a couple times over the last couple hours that they repelled offensives. Doesn't sound like it. Sounds very, very close. This. Who knows what's going on? It's very worrying. More gunfire. This is really terrifying. Sky Obits, I don't know. You know, the U.S. has said that they've been talking to Zelensky. So the question was, do they have plans to evacuate Zelensky? Look, I can't tell you. I mean, he was there tonight. He said he was staying there. I think the Washington Post had a story today saying that the U.S. had wanted him to leave or something. But he's there. He was there as of very recently. So I don't know. Obviously, that would not be something they would publicize, is any kind of evacuation plan. We're going to have to just, see if we hear from him or not and where he is. Here's the headline, Washington Post, explosions rock Kyiv as Russian forces close in on capital. U.S. stands ready to evacuate Zelensky, but I don't know the specifics. The U.S. government is prepared to help evacuate him, but he's refused to go. I mean, he was there as of a few hours ago. He was there. More gunfire. But there's clearly something going on. Is it how many Russian forces are there? That I cannot tell you. I have no idea. Is it a few? Is it paratroopers? Is it special forces? Where are they coming from? Beats me. But clearly, this is not a case of, oh, an hour ago the attack was repelled. There is something very big. There's active fighting going on. I looked at the flight radar. All I see is the U.S. drone down here. I'm guessing if something was to fly out, they might have their transponder off at this point. Oh, what's this here? What's this one? Is that a plane? What is this? This is Orentold. Airport ground vehicle showing up. Okay. More gunfire right now. Just heard of some loud gunfire. A lot of it. Breaking news. Look, guys. Russian forces are closing in on Kyiv. Intense fighting ongoing. Trey Yings. Lots of gunfire now on the scan. On the heavy gunfire. Heavy gunfire. Very heavy. I'm going to play his video in a second. I haven't played his video yet. I am hearing a lot of gunfire on the live stream. Very heavy gunfire on the live stream. There is a lot. Oh my gosh. I'm hearing so much gunfire on the DW live stream. What is going on there? What is going on there? Yes, time check. It is 5:14 a.m. 5:14 a.m. in Kyiv. 5:14 a.m. Lots of. It sounds like machine gun fire or anti-aircraft fire. It sounds like it's very rapid. A lot of it. Could there be helicopters involved or something? I have no idea. Go to my Twitter. I have posted a link to the stream on my Twitter, @Lookner on Twitter. DW Live on YouTube. DW Live on YouTube. Very heavy gunfire, just heard again. DW Live on YouTube. Link on my Twitter, @Lookner. DW News. DW News. DW News on YouTube. DW News. If you search DW Live, you should find it too. DW News. Hang on. Hold on. All right, guys. Hang on. Breaking news. Breaking news. Big breaking news. Major breaking news. Real-time network data show a major disruption to Ukraine's internet backbone provider. Oh my gosh. Gigatrans, which supplies connectivity to many other networks. Oh my gosh. They're shutting off the internet. They are shutting off the internet. Breaking news. This is awful. This is awful. They are shutting off the internet. Breaking news. NetBlocks, real-time network data show a major disruption to Ukraine's internet backbone provider, Gigatrans. This is awful, which supplies connectivity to many other networks. The incident comes as heavy fighting is reported in Kyiv and Vasilkiv. This is it. This is it. This is what many feared. This is what many experts said they thought would happen. This is really bad. Please keep the people of Ukraine in your thoughts. This is really bad. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is awful. Maybe that's probably why we haven't been hearing reports the last hour. I wasn't hearing anything. I'm guessing the Russians shut it down. I'm guessing the Russians shut it down. Next it says air raid alert in Kharkiv. So the idea is that it was thought that Russia could shut down the internet to, I mean, there's many reasons you might want to do it, but a big reason you might shut down the internet is to prevent the government from communicating with the people, to prevent the government from functioning, to prevent the military from functioning. There might be a big military attack tonight, we might see. I don't know if we'll hear about it. I mean, but that could be part of just killing the command and control and communication among the military and the government in Ukraine. Also, for all you know, they might want to sow panic among the people. For all you know, there might be horrible stuff going on in Kyiv that they don't want people, live streaming or posting. So this is very, very bad. Now, we are still seeing the live cam, the DW live cam. We are still seeing that. We are still seeing the live cam. I don't know how long we'll see the live cams for. I don't know how long we'll see the live cams are, but this is a very, very significant disruption. This is very significant. And lots of gunfire in Kyiv. Visible on the live stream. Now, maybe in Ukraine they might have thought this was coming. Maybe there's some action they can take to try to disrupt it or something. I'm sure the U.S. might try to help Ukraine fight off an attack on its internet or something. So I don't know the tech stuff about that. But that is a really significant thing. Oh, is the camera image frozen? Is the camera image frozen, or is that the way it always was? I don't know. Heavy gunfire on the stream. Let me try to get you some more updates about this. I don't know that I don't think we're going to hear this stream for long.
Yeah,
very
I agree.
Very close gunfire. Close gunfire. Look at this. Security Council Secretary Danilov. We are stopping the horde best we can. The situation in Kyiv is under the control of the armed forces in the Ukraine and our citizens.
Thank you for joining the stream.
When they say stopping the horde as best we can, that's not encouraging. This is from Alexei Sorokin, who's in Kyiv. Yeah, I agree with this. I agree with this. Explains why a lot of videos aren't coming out. Maybe people can't upload videos. We haven't seen any videos for like an hour. Air alarm and air raid in Kharkiv. This is very bad. I wonder if like this, if tonight is when you're going to see the main invasion. There's so much gunfire right now so much close gunfire on the Independence Square, Maiden Square live stream. There's so much. DW News on YouTube. And this is what you don't want to see. This is what a lot of people thought might happen the first night. Shutting down the internet. Maybe they'll shut down the power. Yes, Mysterious MM says, here comes the shock and awe phase. I don't know, but remember, many analysts thought that the initial airstrikes would be much bigger. Also, only about a third of the ground forces have come in so far.
So, do we join NATO up here in the Nordic lands? Starting to look like Nora. And I'm also running out of cigarettes.
I am very, very worried that the big invasion might actually be starting tonight.
It's not much longer.
So much gunfire.
Sounds like they're making a final
maybe
push
the
before
first
the
2
day.
days, I don't know, we're probing. Only a third
Russians
of
are
Russia's
better at
troops
night
apparently
fighting,
have been
I
used
think.
so far. There's so much gunfire. Hey, and my stream the picture on the stream seems to be frozen. Are you guys having that too? Is power out in Kyiv? I don't know that.
I was also one of the very few people, I think, no, it's not frozen. Look at that. It's, that was a shadow helping us determine it's not frozen. I actually won 15
So
bucks
again,
on a bet on the
internet
day
outage
of the war
going
starting.
on.
Made a bet with a Finnish reservist officer and actually won the bet.
I think the picture on my DW stream froze.
Said it's gonna start in a few days, and he said, "Pfft," and I was like, "You want to bet 15 bucks?"
Doesn't seem to be moving.
It is moving. I saw it.
It's not frozen? I can't. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
I wonder what happened
is
with the
fine. Maybe it's just frozen on my
massive
TV.
amount of guys running to the west.
People are
I
saying
wonder
it's
what
not frozen.
happened. I wonder what happened to them. Did they get out, or as the fighting approached the road, did they all get stuck there and run into the forest, or did they return to the city? Because you can't evacuate a city of 4 million in 2 days from a single highway. So how many people actually got out?
Okay, people are saying it's not frozen. Thank you. Yeah, I don't see. People are saying look for a wire or a rope. I might try reloading the stream again because I'm going to reload the stream because
By the way,
mine was frozen.
dear
Mine was
audience
frozen.
member,
But I'll
the
just-
map on the top right
I'll just
is
try it again.
an interesting phone. That's all I'll say.
More gunfire. More gunfire. So much gunfire. Close gunfire. This is
the
very
end of an
bad.
era.
Breaking news. Major gunfire lots and lots of gunfire on the Kyiv Maidan Square central part of Kyiv live stream right now.
Anything you want me to cover?
Major internet outage reported in Ukraine. This is very, very bad. People saying their live cam is frozen now. I still see some of the live cams working, but I'm very worried about power. NetBlocks, they know what they're doing. This is a major outage. They say internet backbone. One of our views. Network data from NetBlocks confirms significant disruptions to internet service in Kharkiv. No, this isn't even updated. No, that's the update. They don't even have a post about it yet. Ukraine's internet backbone provider Gigatrans, internet backbone, which
Is that
supplies
like large
connectivity
trans
to
women?
many other networks.
Body
Internet
positive
backbone.
trans women, gigatrans.
Internet backbone is maybe defined by the principal data route between large, strategically interconnected computer networks and core routers of the internet. Anyways, I don't really know how that works, but
You need to get some satellite contacts and then have your
More
satellite
gunfire.
shut down.
If you are watching on Facebook, you have 23 minutes on Facebook. In 23 minutes, it will hit 8 hours. So the live stream will stop on 8 hours on Facebook, and I will restart it right away. I'll restart it right away on Facebook when the live stream ends. So if you're
I'll
watching
make
on
my
Facebook,
choice about 6:30.
again, just when the stream ends,
Might be pushed
automatically
back,
in 23
but I'll
minutes,
make it at about
I'll start another
6:30. On whether or not to join NATO. I might make it a little later because I need to watch some of the people that I know of talk about it and scale
Intel
some
Doge
things.
said, this back and forth gunfire makes me think this is an active gunfight between Russian and Ukrainian troops. Heavy gunfire, including what sounds like large caliber weapons, continue to be fired in the distance. A lot of gunfire. Guys, I'm going to need to take I'm going to step away for 1 minute. I'm coming right back. Very loud, very, very close and loud. Hold on. Very close and loud. Closest gunfire yet. Sorry. That's the...
$36,900, 37,700. That's about 1,000 in an hour. That's in the middle of the night. So it's looking like to me the Finns have made their choice. That's 1,000 in an hour. for some Ukrainians. Didn't mean to click that one, I meant to click the not mute button.
Ei voi pelätä likaa. Pomon koostumus on tiukka tahroille ja kasvipohjaiset tahranpoistajamme ystävällisempiä ympäristölle. Lisäksi pullomme valmistetaan kierrätysmuovista.
One more day, one more morning. That's why it's good to listen to cheerful music during these times. Reminds me of the Germans playing the balls or something when Stalingrad fell, or the pocket in Stalingrad fell. To quote the commentator, if we're talking about bringing back the old empires, then why are the Mongols not taking over China and Russia? Spry Ukrainian women. It's better to hold a violin than a rifle. From what I've heard, Konotep is still not fallen. They're advancing on Kiev through the Ivankiv-Dymyr highway. That's because they tried to take the Gostomel or Hostomel airport, however you want to call it, but the Ukrainians basically blew up the passes to it. And there's a few easy to defend rivers here, as you can see. But the land along the shore here, south from Dymyr, is hard to defend. And they tried to get the airport down south here, but the paratroopers are not sufficient to do that. And here's the main highway that should, in theory, still be somewhat free, but not much. And the Russians most likely have something like this area right now. Something along those lines. They're also advancing from the east, but without taking Cherniv and some of these other on the way large cities, they will not be able to supply their units. And the classical saying is that newbies talk of tactics and strategies and professionals talk logistics. And it is looking like if you don't take Cherniv, and at the very least most of these towns along the highway here, you won't have good logistics in the east. And Cherniv, according to the most latest data, is still in Ukrainian hands. So what they have the option to do is to capture these outskirts and use this highway system or local roads from the outskirts here to progress upon Ukraine, Kiev from the east. But those two seem to be mostly in Ukrainian hands, though Kiev is breached in parts. And I wouldn't use the word besieged because it is not surrounded at the moment. but it is breached in parts, though taking a city of 4 million is different than driving an armored column to the middle and just saying it's ours now. There's a difference between taking a city and attacking a city. It's like saying New York is besieged during the 9/11 attacks. It's media language, it isn't the reality, though the border is certainly not here right now. It's closer to here and here. And when the Russians tried to paradrop into the city so they could airlift in more troops, the Ukrainians fairly well fought them so that the paradrop didn't actually work. But yesterday there was a news article that the remnants of the military that were trying to take Gostomel had retreated to this residential area, and there were infiltrators that were coming from this direction that were also helping them. But it was yesterday, and the whole day yesterday was pretty calm. So once night rolled around, the partisans or whatever in this particular region were most likely destroyed, and that brought the Russians time that the Ukrainians couldn't focus their forces along the bridgeheads here. So it seems like this was designed to either take the airport and allow the ferrying in of more troops, or more likely to at least disturb the Ukrainian defenses so much that they couldn't focus their forces on slowing down on the main highway. And it also seems like most of the very western parts of the country, like Zhytomyr and Lviv and such, are being left for the most part alone, though the Polish and some other NATO countries are supplying Ukraine with arms on the western border. So going too far into bombing the West might hit the NATO forces, because they've basically said that as long as they have any kind of diplomatic presence in Ukraine, it's going to be mostly based in Lviv. So it seems like they are focusing on a knockout punch for the capital, while pushing here and there on the other sides of the country. But their main focus definitely seems to be coming through the north border towards Kiev. And as I was watching this situation pre-war, I was very worried that this passage is very short. And on top of the fact that it allows the Russians to encircle the capital from the west, I was rather worried about it. But in the east, where the Ukrainians had good defensive positions, we know from yesterday that the Russians got at least as far as about this over the bridge, but the Ukrainians pushed them back and blew up the bridge. So they've managed to fairly well hold their own on the Dnieper River, but they're not holding very well. I do know that there has been fighting in Kherson, but it is for the most part free. And everywhere else near the front line, they're quite far from the Dnieper, and Melitopol is still free, but the Russians landed somewhere in here and drove up behind it. So Melitopol is actually besieged. And in the east here, for the most part along the established fortified front line of Luhansk and Donetsk republics, the Russian advance has been small. They haven't been able to make much headway there. In this particular pocket, they evidently advanced as far as Starobelsk or so, but were pushed back by a Ukrainian counterattack. So it means the Ukrainians certainly aren't giving up without a fight and doing only defensive operations. They're retaining strategic mobility and the ability to do counterattacks and maintain strategic mobility, which in a time of war is of utmost importance, because if you allow your opponent to freely concentrate his forces against yours, even if you have a 10-time advantage, you'll most likely lose. So to maintain the strategic mobility at a time like this is absolutely vital. So to prove their mobility, they have undertaken a counterattack in the very east, which worked, and a counterattack in Kherson to blow up the bridges and push back the Russian bridgehead across the Dnieper, which also worked. They managed to defend Melitopol because they were doing an entrenched city battle, but the Russians landed behind them, and now they're actually encircled in that city. The Russians may not intend to get into heavy urban fighting in every city because it'll be very expensive for them. But in Kiev, they will most likely, and in fact have already started to get into entrenched city battles. But whether or not they want to get into entrenched city battles anywhere else is a question that hasn't been answered. It seems like for the most part, they're looking to surround the cities and advance straight on the capital, and they were expecting much less resistance than they were getting. But they have kept about 60% of the forces in reserve, meaning that they are looking for a good breakthrough position and harsh positions of resistance. And it might be that they are using their older gear first to deplete the Ukrainian top-end weaponry, and then when the Ukrainians look depleted in terms of weaponry, they'll use their top-of-the-line gear. But I don't know about the specifics because it has been relatively quiet about the specifics of what weaponry is being used. But it does indeed look like they're keeping about 60% of their forces in reserve for now. So it's not everything being done immediately in a panzer army of all you guys. So they're believing in strategic mobility as well instead of committing all their forces. There have been very heavy fighting in Sumy. This reminds me of the EVE Online news article. But there has been very heavy fighting in Sumy. But it looks likely that the city will not fall today, but in a while it will. They have surrounded Konotep, which has also had some amount of heavy fighting, but it hasn't fallen yet. Though I do believe that if they've made anything resembling a push, because the map hasn't been updated in terms of boundaries in 24 hours or so, I believe the city most likely has fallen. But I'm getting an astral sense of no, in that it still, for the most part, is free, but I don't know for sure. And most recent maps indicate that there is a general push all along the frontier, but this map doesn't, because this seems to show that the Russians are doing armored columns along roads, which is roughly what they did during the previous one with Finland, and which to me indicates that they are trying to do a strategic mobility attack, or not a wide front attack, but to take objectives that are important to them and hold them for a while. And the fact that the Ukrainian landscape isn't really suited for the kind of guerrilla warfare that we had in the winter of 40, it means that the counterattacks against the logistics routes aren't as good as might be believed. They aren't as effective as might be believed, but they're certainly not a walkover. And there are fairly early reports that have for parts been confirmed, but not for their entirety, that the Russian ground forces are running into logistics issues, which is what we were expecting if the Ukrainians put up a fight. Because there is a degree of activity you can do if you have a infantry guerrilla army against a motorized enemy, even if it is just flatlands. It's not like if it's not forest, you can't do guerrilla, but it isn't as effective. And there have been reports of radiation spikes in Chernobyl, and one report that a Russian artillery shell hit a radiation waste containment site, which spiked the radiation triggers and such, but it isn't at a point that could be considered dangerous to the general public yet, which I believe might be one of the reasons why the Ukrainians didn't put up serious fight there, because if they really wanted to and were not opposed to the use of WMDs, they would have hit. As soon as the Russians were near Chernobyl, they would have hit it with a serious artillery barrage, which would have contaminated the entire northern part of the country far into the Belarusian border and make the Russian forces fight during what can be described as nuclear wasteland. But the Ukrainians didn't seem intent on turning their land into a nuclear wasteland in terms of defense, but such is life. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry is saying that the local citizens should start to build Molotov cocktails. And the difference here is that because it's a large city, people can't differentiate between Ukrainian and Russian military units, which means that you'll see a lot of confusion in the field. But every single neighborhood where people actually do kind of know each other will be its own fortress. But travel from one neighborhood to another for the citizens of the area will be very limiting. So what they can do is make a carved out bridgehead, because during this kind of aerial control, you can't focus your forces on the spearheads well, because the Russians have fairly complete air domination. So what you'll see is the civilian population and some of the military entrenching themselves in the ghettos, if you will. A block by block battle, if they want to take the entire city, will ensue. But what they are most likely aiming for, based on their avenue of advance, is to capture or kill the government. And then once they have the presidential palace, they'll essentially declare that they now have the country. I do not believe that that will have the effect desired on the Ukrainian forces, but that seems to be the Russian strategy. I do not believe. Based on the Ukrainian national style and the harshness of their defense thus far, I believe the capture of the capital will only result in Russia having to feed 4.4 million angry people. That is all that will happen. And then when the Russian occupiers will most likely lose their temper with the Ukrainian people and start to abuse them and do things that an occupying army does, we'll see the fighting spirit of the Ukrainians still in the fight to actually increase. And taking the presidential palace and parliament building and stuff like that is maybe 5% of the city. Taking the roads there and some side roads and a clear avenue of approach is perhaps 10% of the city. And as long as there's space in the city to pull back, when you do actually get to the point where there is like 20% of the city still fighting you, it will contain 50% of the army that was initially in the city. So it will get harder as the city gets squeezed. For now, the same reason a push in a single avenue in the city works is the same reason that terrorism against the city is relatively easy. They aren't equipped to defend against every single type of attack, but in terms of being completely overrun, it's not an easy task. But we'll see about the NATO vote in an hour.
Hang on. Give me one moment. I just got to start my live stream here. I am just starting the Facebook live stream. Give me one more moment. I'm sorry. I am just starting the Facebook live stream.
Birds are waking up. So it's almost morning. Doth the raven. More cars, more ammo.
Okay, we're live on Facebook again. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry. I just literally posted the live stream on Facebook. All right, Facebook, we're back. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I had to. Let me just make sure the Facebook stream is working. I just had to fix something here. Give me one moment. I'm sorry for the delay. I just had to. Okay, we are back on Facebook. Sorry for the delay, Facebook. We're back. New stream. We're back here. Hopefully everybody didn't have trouble finding it. We're bringing you live coverage. Breaking news tonight. Intense fighting in Kyiv for, I think, over an hour now. We've been hearing intense fighting, very intense fighting on the live stream that's being shown in Maidan Square, right in the center of Kyiv. In the last 10-15 minutes, we've heard the loudest and closest scary gunfire all night. And in addition, that comes after a few hours ago, there was fighting about 4 miles away in western Kyiv. And it's we don't really know what's going on. And also there's reporting of a very problematic, worrisome reporting about internet issues. Will they shut down the internet there in Ukraine? You can see NetBlock says confirmed. Oh, update. Breaking news. Some connectivity has returned to Ukraine backbone provider Gigatrans, but service remains intermittent at present. The incident comes amid fighting around capital city Kyiv. It is unclear if connectivity will be sustained. So I don't know what to make of this. Some connectivity has returned to the Ukraine internet backbone provider, Gigatrans, but service remains intermittent at present. So is Russia trying to shut off the internet, like many thought they would? Or might there be physical damage from fighting that's causing this? I have no idea. Could Ukraine be doing something to counter what Russia is doing? Could the U.S. be helping them? I don't know. But that's an interesting report right there about the internet here. One of our viewers just said, sun is coming up in Ukraine. We don't know what's going to happen with the internet, but that's at least positive news. Maybe it won't go down. Marcus Yam. What is this? Oh. Hang on, guys. I have an update for you. Hang on. Guys, Marcus Yam is in Kyiv. Marcus Yam is in Kyiv. You can see right here, Marcus Yam. He's LA Times photographer. He's in Kyiv. The sound of gunfire is getting louder and in longer spurts in Kyiv. He's in Kyiv. He's there. So again, he says the sound of gunfire is getting louder and in longer spurts in Kyiv. Ben saw Vice, a horrible scene at the Medica border crossing between Ukraine and Poland. This was just the end of the line. Thousands were pushing to cross to safety. Behind them, a line of cars 30 miles long, only a handful of customs agents to process people.
Yeah, that's the update on the Polish border. It's about 6. I'm gonna go get another energy drink. It'll be my 4th this day. That's equivalent to 6 to 8 cups of coffee. Not much, but considering I'm getting pre-diabetes, it's
next
pretty much.
Says, this is from Odessa, on the which is a coastal town in southwest Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense in Odessa. Look. There's bells in Kyiv now. We're hearing bells on the live stream. Bells on the live stream. Hang on. There are bells on the stream. We just have no idea what's with all this gunfire. What has been going on there in Kyiv? Where is the government right now? Is the government okay? Is the government okay? What's going on? Breaking update. At least 4 to 6 jets flying high above Ukraine, air raid sirens. Jets are flying over Venezia. Venezia is in west central Ukraine. How does he know about Venezia? And he says jets are flying above Venezia. There's anti-aircraft fire, rocket fire, air raid sirens. He is in Venezia, apparently. Bryce Wilson covered Ukraine since 2015. So he said, look, jets are flying high above Venezia. There's anti-aircraft fire, rocket fire, air raid sirens. That's 10 minutes ago. Then 2 minutes ago, at least 4 to 6 jets flying high above Ukraine, air raid sirens. And Venezia, again, is that's going to be Western Ukraine, central Western Ukraine. So who knows what's going on? We are so limited in what we know. What is going on all around Ukraine right now? Could there be more ground forces crossing into Ukraine? Rob Lee, military analyst, says Russia assembled a massive force in case its most optimistic scenario didn't pan out, most of which hasn't even been committed into Ukraine. They will escalate and it will get uglier if they fail to achieve their political goals with the much more limited force option. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Next up, air alarm in Lutsk. Lutsk, air alarm. We're hearing about air alarms. I wonder if we're starting to hear about different air raid sirens going off and air alarms. I wonder if we'll start seeing airstrikes tonight. Maybe they're ongoing. Lutsk is in western Ukraine. Air raid.
Sun's coming up.
Ukraine Armed Forces says, during the night the Russian occupiers did not take any city. Kyiv is being cleared of the remains of saboteurs. I hope so, but we'll just have to see. I'm not very confident. I'm not very confident that they've been spreading wonderful good news. They've been making good news reports for a day now, and they said they shot down all these planes and there's no evidence of it. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. That's a real account, by the way. That's the real account. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They are, hold on. That's not the official account. They're followed by the official account, but they're not the official account. I'm deleting it. I'll wait until the official account. What's it? I think that's the account, but I'm not sure. No, that account is followed by the defense, by like official Ukraine accounts. But I don't know if that's like who's exactly posting on that. So I deleted the tweet. But the armed forces have been coming out with like nonstop good news for the last day. So anything, any kind of, and it's, there's been no proof of it. So anyways. I don't want to post that if I'm not 100% sure it's coming from, like it's literally from an official statement. Again, I think it's there. I think it's the official account, but
näin sodan toisena päivänä Venäjä on edennyt Kiovaan. Ulkomaantoimittajamme Laura Pylväläinen kertoo lisäyksen etenemisestä. Pitkin päivää Kiovassa on kuultu räjähdyksiä ja laukauksia. Reilu tunti sitten kaupungin länsilaidalta kaikui tykistötulen ääntä. Tässä näemme viime yön tuhoja. Kerrostaloon osui ilmaohjus. Asuinalueelle taas putosi ilma-alus, jonka Ukraina ampui alas. Ukraina arvioi jo aamulla, että Venäjän tankit pyrkisivät hyökkäämään Kiovaan tämän päivän aikana. Samoihin aikoihin ensimmäiset Venäjän sotilaat todella saapuivat pääkaupunkiin. Sosiaalisessa mediassa levisi video, jolla venäläiset panssariajoneuvot ajoivat Obolonin asuinalueella Pohjois-Kiovassa vajaan 10 kilometrin päässä keskustasta ja parlamenttitalolta. Muun muassa BBC varmensi videon aitouden. Alkuillasta Kiovan pormestari kertoi kaupungin siirtyneen puolustusvaiheeseen. Venäläissotilaat ovat kohdanneet tänään vastarintaa odotettua enemmän ja päivän päätteeksi pysyivät kaupungin laidoilla. Päivällä Venäjä väitti ottaneensa haltuun strategisesti tärkeän Hostomedin sotilaslentokentän, josta kamppailtiin jo eilen. Ukrainan mukaan taisteluita on käyty näillä alueilla noin 45-60 kilometrin päässä Kiovasta. Ukraina sanoo, että Venäjä on vallannut Konotopin kaupungin 200 kilometrin päässä Kiovasta. Venäjä taas väittää saartaneensa Tšernihivin kaupungin 150 kilometrin päässä. Tšernobylin ydinvoimala-alueen Venäjä valloitti jo eilen. Taistelut jatkuvat myös muualla Ukrainassa. Useissa kaupungeissa, kuten Mariupolissa ja Harkovassa, on raportoitu räjähdyksistä. Mustalla merellä Käärmesaarella 13 ukrainalaissotilasta sai surmansa Venäjän valloittaessa sen. Illansuussa lännessä Lvivin kaupungissa julistettiin yöllinen ulkonaliikkumiskielto Kiovassa se on ollut jo voimassa. Taistelujen vaatimista uhraista liikkuu paljon tietoja, joiden todenperäisyyttä on vaikea vahvistaa. Varmaa jo on, että joukossa on muitakin kuin sotilaita. YK:n mukaan ilmaiskuissa ainakin 25 siviiliä on kuollut ja 102 loukkaantunut.
Kiitoksia, Laura. Tervetuloa lähetykseen apulaissotilasprofessori Antti Paronen.
Kiitos.
Otetaan kiinni äsken nähdystä kartoista. Iskuja on tehty tänäänkin laajalla rintamalla eri puolilla Ukrainaa. Nyt ollaan myös jo hyvin lähellä pääkaupungin ydintä. Näiden päivän tapahtumien valossa joko on selvää, mitä Venäjä tällä operaatiolla hakee?
Sekä tämä laaja tulivalmistelu muualla Ukrainassa tapahtuneet hyökkäykset edustavat sitä vaihetta, jota tuossa osaltaan Venäjän vaatimuksessakin on kuultu, eli Ukrainan asevoimien pitäisi antautua tai laskea aseensa. Tällaisella toiminnalla yritetään lyödä nuo asevoimat tai jopa joissain tapauksissa tuhota näiden asevoimien yksiköitä. Sitten tuo Ukrainaan suunnattu Kiovaan suunnattu hyökkäys, niin se edustaa sitten sitä toista Putinin julkilausumaa tavoitetta, eli tämän Ukrainan hallinnon ja nykyisen vallanpitäjien korvaamista jotenkin itselleen myötämielisellä vaihtoehdolla.
Venäjä haluaa vaihtaa Ukrainan hallinnon mieleisekseen. Miten tämä temppu käytännössä tehdään, kun Zelenskikin on ilmoittanut, että hän ei lähde mihinkään?
No ensin tietysti hänet pitäisi löytää ja valtaosa hänen hallinnostaan pitäisi tuolta Ukrainan pääkaupungista todellakin löytää ja tuoda jollain lailla ikään kuin julkisuuteen tai kansan eteen siten, että kyettäisiin sanomaan, että todellakin Venäjä on nyt lyönyt Ukrainan kyseisen johdon tai vallassa olevan johdon. Sitten tietysti voidaan kuvitella vain, että minkälaisia muita vaihtoehtoja tässä olisi. Jonkunlaisen kenraalikuvermentin istuttaminen, jonkun toisen nukkehallitsijan istuttaminen valtaan.
Jos tämä on tavoite vaihtaa hallinto, niin kuinka pitkä prosessi tämä on? Puhutaanko päivistä, viikoista?
No, Kiovan haltuunotto on tietysti todellakin niin kuin enemmänkin ehkä päivien asia kuin viikkojen asia. Iso kysymys on siitä se, että saaretaanko Kiova ensin vai tunkeudutaanko Kiovaan isommalla joukkokokonaisuudella.
Miltä nyt näyttää?
No, tällä hetkellä taistelua tehdään vähän niin kuin molemmilla rintamilla, että yhtäaikaisesti yritetään saartaa Kiovaa, että sitten myös niin kuin valmistautua vähän isompaan hyökkäykseen tuossa Kiovan pohjoispuolella nimenomaan sinne hallintokortteleihin tunkeutumiseksi.
Laajennetaan hieman vielä Kiovan ulkopuolelle. Olette sanonut, että Venäjän tavoitteena on pilkkoa Ukraina eri osiin. Mitä se tarkoittaa?
No, käytännössä se tarkoittaisi tässä yhteydessä nyt sitä, että eri Ukrainaa puolustavia joukkoja, niin niiden yhteyttä toisiinsa pyrittäisiin haittaamaan ihan jopa sillä lailla, että Ukraina pilkottaisiin todellakin vähintään kahtia niin, että etelästä tuleva hyökkäyskiila yhtyisi sitten pohjoisesta tai kaakosta tulevaa hyökkäyskiilaa jossakin tuossa Dnieperillä.
Kiitoksia haastattelusta, Antti Paronen.
Kiitos.
It seems the Russians are doing both strategies at once, trying to both encircle the city and invade the city. We have so much fun, we can do both. We are superior. Anybody want to take bets on when Kiev will fall? I'm not. I'm betting end of next week at earliest. I'm pretty sure with the way they've been fighting that it's end of next week. This isn't looking like, there are no Russian troops in Kiev.
I mean, something happened. Something has been going on in Kyiv.
Gotta take a whiz pretty soon. Might as well end this stream then. Might throw the Funsies Factory Play EU3 next.
Hang on, guys. I'm going to look at some of your comments in a second. I'm just kind of catching up here. So we have no idea what's going on there. We don't know what happened. Oh, my stream is working. My live stream is getting brighter. My DW stream is getting brighter. So it is not frozen. Now, another question is, look, so Anders Ostlund, Intel crowd retweeted, said, I'm sure Russia planned to capture Kyiv during the first 24 hours of the offensive. I don't know if that's the case. Now there's been 48 hours and Kyiv is still free, and Ukrainian resistance is stiffening while Russian soldiers die in urban warfare. The thing is, though, I don't know what kind of forces were brought to attack Kyiv in the last few hours. Was it a huge force? Was it like an airborne force? I mean, in the meantime, I think we do have huge columns of Russian forces moving towards Kyiv, which I believe have not actually got there yet. So you know,
Probably
I am
probing
certainly
attacks on the
hoping
city
that
and
this attack
focusing
was
the main
repelled.
forces
There's so much
surrounding the
gunfire, but
city.
maybe that did happen. But there might be other forces. There's clearly, I have seen no reports of like heavy armor in Kyiv. Maybe we'll see it later. But we know that Russia has been trying to bring two different lines of they've been bringing mechanized forces on two different paths from the north and from the east. So, and I don't know that they've actually gotten there yet.
No, Kiev isn't surrounded.
So it'll be really interesting to see what happened tonight. What happened tonight? My stream just stopped. DW stream just stopped. Breaking news, DW stream just went down. Live stream went down. Live stream out. Live stream out. Breaking news. Breaking news.
Wonder if the building got hit by a missile. I'm gonna go to
Breaking
the store. Kiev. I'm going to
The
be
Kyiv live stream that everyone was just watching went down. And the logo is still there. It just stopped. Yep, it's gone. It's black. It's black. It's black. I get the DW logo. I'll show you. Is Foxes up?
So, yeah.
That's the one there. It just went down. That's that one.
I'm going to be possibly making a short update before I leap into the world of computer games to unwind a little. I've been sleeping a little off and focusing on this war for 3 days, so I need a little break. But it seems like I'll give you an update on the NATO thing. If things go as I'm predicting they'll go, it's possible that I'll see something truly weird on the street and make up my mind in another way. But if things go as we're looking at them to go, we will be signing the petition to get Finland into NATO. That will be the moment when, in my opinion, I join NATO. So if Russia has done nothing, it's made sure that the New World Order wins. So yeah, thank you for watching.